Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. This is, I suppose, in addition to Devil's Advocate, that I never really ever imagined that I'd be doing. Usually, at this time on a Monday, we will be airing our all women's podcast, Three Devils and a Gooner. But tonight, it's this show is going to take a different path here. Tonight, we're going to be talking far. That is the recent news of the European Super League. Obviously, the so big six clubs in the Premier League have all been involved in this, and it's an absolute farcical situation. So tonight, I'm going to have fans from all big six clubs, excluding Manchester City. We couldn't get a Manchester City fan on the show here this evening on short notice. So tonight, I will have fans from Manchester United. I will also have fans from Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. So we will have fans from all them clubs. We all be giving our initial thoughts on this situation. I don't think for anybody who is involved with these clubs, for how we feel about the opposition clubs and the rivalries and the games we've had in the past, it's sore for us all to take in this last 24 hours. It's been kind of a sore time to take. So first of all, I'm going to bring the first fan in, and I'm going to the other follow straight away. So putting rivalry aside and bringing in our Liverpool fan here, Gary Egan. Gary usually used to come on the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast when we first started out, on the channel. Gary, how are you today?
I'm good, Keane. How are you, my man?
All this bullshit, man. Life is good, moving on, trying to, obviously get through life the best way I can, but other than that, this news has just struck a chord really in the last 24 hours. Also, I'm going to bring in three other Manchester United fans who feature predominantly on this channel as well. First of all, I'm going to bring in Rach, our host from Three Devils and the Gooner, making her return to the channel. How are you, Rach?
I'm all right.
It's good. And also, I'm bringing in Amy, who predominantly comes on Three Devils and a Gooner, and also the Devil's Advocate show. Amy, how's it going?
Sure. You know the story.
Yeah, that's no problem. And also, I'm going to bring in Mr. Dylan Donnelly, who does come on our United show, Devil's Advocate, and also writes for his own blog, United All Day. Dylan, how are you this evening?
I'm good, all things considered.
Yeah, it's good. At least there's all kind of good spirits outside of football, which is it's always good to see, even though football is a massive part of our lives and it can have an effect on you, especially if when your club gets a bad result or news like this comes out. So I suppose tonight the reason why I wanted to kick off with Manchester United and I wanted to kick off with Liverpool fans tonight is because this rivalry in recent years, you wouldn't have had Manchester United fans and Liverpool fans come onto a show and have an open discussion about both of their football clubs. You wouldn't see it usually. But tonight I wanted to do this tonight just to put rivalry aside and let's talk about this farce that is the Europeans. Obviously, this news broke not too long before the United match. There were rumours, and then obviously the official kind of, all the media outlets were breaking it kind of during United's home tie against Burnley yesterday. And it was, I suppose, a shock to the system for all of us, kind of, for all of our clubs to see that we're portrayed. And for me, I'm flabbergasted by this news, especially when you look at, I know all these big six clubs have their own tradition in the English Premier League, and they're all massive clubs in their own right, and to kind of see the way this have to turn and the way this is after turning out it's really after hitting me where it hurts. Gary, I'm gonna ask you first. Obviously, you're a massive Liverpool fan. You're very passionate about the football club, and me and you work together. Well, we used to work there. You have a new job now, actually, but usually in work every day, we'd banter each other and work about Man United and Liverpool nearly every day, and we'd always chat to each other about our clubs are going. And from what I know, you're a passionate Liverpool fan. You're very happy about the direction, the way your club is going, and you thought FSG actually were running the club in the right way. When this news broke, how did you feel about this news?
it was a shock. Like when I woke up this morning, I checked my phone. I could see, that it had gone through, and I just thought it was rumors. But when it went through, and I seen the reaction come out of it, I was just like, I initially just thought they're taking like European football away from Liverpool in a way. Like I don't think anyone will disagree here. Liverpool excel on European nights. It's what we live for. It's like we have the rivalry in the league and everything, but everyone will agree. Everyone wants to go to Anfield on a European night. It's just, but we're not going to get that. We're just going to get an American-based league where no one goes up, no one goes down. It's just a competition like the NFL or the NBA. Like so, it's got to take an awful lot of the heart out of our club. Like big ears is what we always achieve, try and strive for. And it's kind of tough, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. United fans have agreed with Liverpool fans for the first time in my long memory, and it was tough to watch it. But everyone grieving together just shows that football is just one big family. That's it.
Yeah, and I think for me, it almost felt like this. I mean, the last 24 hours with this, it's almost like losing a loved one, like a family member or someone that means something to you. It just, whatever it is about this news, like we've all grown up, we've all idolized our clubs, we've all idolized certain players, we've all fallen in love with the game and the traditions of the football club. Like you look at Manchester United, the way our football club was built under Sir Matt Busby, obviously rebuilding after the Munich air disaster, and then seeing obviously after that then Sir Alex Ferguson, a 27.5-year dynasty that he built. And I always thought this football club would do the things the right way. And obviously, look, under this Glazer ownership, look, we've seen some serious downs. Obviously, Sir Alex kind of masked that with his brilliance. But to see this now and see the football club morally take this decision, I'm just disappointed. More than anything, I'm just disappointed that our football club is actually going through with this. It go against all the traditions of what we're about. And same with Liverpool. Like Liverpool have their rich traditions, Bill Shankly, and like Liverpool are meant to be a family club, and they do obviously they look after their own, and they have their own rich traditions in the Champions League, and they obviously have their big, as Gary said, like their big European nights. And again, both clubs have had their ups, they both had their major downs, but one thing you can't deny is that their history is always there, and they're like the two biggest clubs in England for a reason, and that'll never be taken away. But almost this news now can almost nearly tarnish that, and it's something that's, football doesn't feel pure anymore. It doesn't feel, for me right now, it doesn't feel pure. Like it just feels different. Today, I don't know what to say. It's a horrible feeling all day. I'm interested to get your thoughts, guys, on this further. And Rach, obviously, look, I haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks on this show. We were very positive about the direction Manchester United were going under Ollie. So obviously, we're second in the league, and we were on road to Europa League, and we're showing a bit of progress in recent weeks, and we're playing decent football. But even for you, Rach, I don't think, are you even positive about this situation? Like, what are your thoughts?
I'm just devastated, to be completely honest with you. I'm kind of like Gary. At the time, I thought it was some sort of rumor, like a joke, that it would never go through. It'd never happen. You kind of think, you wouldn't want to think that your club would stoop that low as to, in the middle of a pandemic, to make it all about money when there's clubs on the brink of collapse. You just don't want to believe that your club would ever participate in something like that. And for the first time in my life, I can actually say that I'm actually ashamed of my club. Yes, we've had down moments, and we've had really, our form and on-field stuff has been dwindling for a long time. But to say that you're embarrassed of being a fan and being associated with Manchester United Football Club it's a new low for me. Obviously, I understand that they aren't Manchester United and they aren't what we stand for. And just like Liverpool and all the other clubs, their owners they don't stand for what the fans stand for and what the working class man has lived through their whole life just to be able to watch their team play. But unfortunately, their owners are their clubs. So the Glazers, unfortunately, they are Manchester United, which absolutely kills me. And I'm sure it kills every single one of you as well, because it's been threatening for years that something like this would happen. So I'd like to say I'm surprised, but with our parasites as owners, I'm really not. And I'm just devastated, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, like I think I never could have expected that we'd stoop this low. Who are on their last legs. Like you look, even last year, Bury were a club like who folded. Like there's other clubs in the past who've traditional clubs have obviously had to fold and had to go down to the bottom tier because and especially in this time, a global pandemic, when clubs are literally fighting to, and it doesn't sit right with me. It really doesn't. And like when we all of us grew up on supporting these clubs, and especially like I'm gonna clubs later on the show. All these clubs always the right way, shape, or form, right? Like you can talk about Manchester City, and we're not really like you can talk about what way they've done things and either this, that, and the other. But they even done great things in the Manchester community. So obviously, they're making that link. They've done things like that too, especially during this pandemic. To see this happen, it just shows they don't give a shit about the fans. And then they're ringing fans up to get their season, like ask them, do they want to renew their season tickets today? I've seen it today on social media. There's fans received phone calls today to renew season tickets. That's absolutely shameless. Considering this news, considering the outrage that's there in the fan base, it's shameless. It's disgusting, and it's just not what our football club stands for, and anything for. It's just sickening, to say the least. Now we're going to talk about the ramifications. Obviously, what this league is going to constitute and stuff like that later on. One's thoughts before we delve into that, because it's very important when you have it, because that's what this is about. I'm going to unmute my laptop, but I'm going to unmute Dylan. Obviously, Manchester United, Liverpool fans, like we've obviously seen the 2008 Champions League final, again another rebuild by Sir Alex Ferguson. We've obviously had another, I suppose it wasn't a trophy, but we've had big like European night Raleigh, like going away to PSG and making a comeback then, and that was like an anomaly, like another great iconic moment in United's history. To see a diluted version of all these memories now, this European Super League, do you feel like playing in Europe now has just kind of lost its meaning, like with regards to Super League? And also, what are your initial thoughts and kind of the announcement as well?
Yeah, I kind of, what everyone's kind of said, it's just a bit of a shock, isn't it, for everybody? We suppose it came about a couple of months ago and it went quiet again, and it came up again yesterday afternoon, and I think it was coming. I think it was coming for a long time with the money that was in football, and I think that the fans not being in the stadiums due to COVID gave them the perfect opportunity to capitalise on, the mass exodus or the mass revolt that could have happened. And I think this will kill, especially like Liverpool fans, as Gary was alluding to, and United fans. We have a proud tradition in the Champions League and on European nights. That's why we play all season to try and qualify for the Champions League, to try and mix it with the best teams in Europe. And like the 12 teams involved in the Super League won Champions Leagues or competed in Champions Leagues ever. I personally I think this will kill off the Champions League if it is allowed to go ahead. But hopefully, judging by the that's the thing that I'm actually one of the slight positives to come from this has been all the club's fans pulling together, and hopefully we'll be able to get the right result with it not going ahead.
Yeah, I think, look, the one, like as you said there, the one great thing we've seen about this is that rivalry's been put aside and fans have come together, and they come together in unison to try stop this. And again, it's one of these things where it's not just going to hit the big six clubs. This is going to hit like the league at a grander scheme, like the other clubs. Like I've seen, there's comments coming in like grassroots football is going to be affected. It's going to affect football in this country, whether you believe it or not, because like the end goal for a player playing in this country is going to play in the Premier League. Like that's the end goal for any footballer growing up in this country. That's gone there with this Super League happening. Like there's so many ramifications, not only in Ireland, the UK, but world football too. Like this could really damage the game of football as we know it. Amy, I'm going to come to you with regards to this. Obviously, like you're a massive Manchester United fan, just like us all. Again, like you're very passionate about the football club, and again, like you're someone who was very behind this process that Manchester United were going through under Solskjaer, and you'd always kind of try to pick a positive with the way the direction the club is going. What were your initial thoughts? Like I know I was talking to you during the match yesterday, and then like the news kind of broke through and we were both kind of speechless. But what were your thoughts when the news came through, and kind of what are your thoughts on the fact Manchester United are involved in this?
To be honest with you, like I was kind of lost for words at the start, but it's absolutely disgraceful, to be honest with you. Like Manchester United is one of the biggest clubs in the world, and it has millions of fans across the world. And like it's actually disgraceful to actually have owners that will rip our history apart, completely disrespect it, completely disrespect English football, and completely disrespect football in general. The men don't even know what football is. They don't know how the game works. It took them 2 years to learn the offside rule. Like, I just think it's disgraceful, to be honest. I think everyone knows what the Glazers are, and they're penny pinchers. And as for Liverpool as well, like Liverpool, they always said it was always going to be about the fans, but none of this is about the fans. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I think it's so disrespectful towards the club in general and fans throughout the world as well.
Yeah, I think like when you look at it from the scale, if all the clubs, all the fans, like United had a briefing, I think it was a fanzine or something with Ed Woodward there last week, and he never mentioned a word about this. And like Ed Woodward was always saying that he'd be transparent, and the fans will always be kept in the loop. That was a crock of shit. Crock of shit. See all of these clubs take this action during this time when we haven't been in the stadium over now 13 months since like fans have been able to go to stadiums. Well, United fans anyway. And to see the way the direction this is taken, it's heartbreaking. It really is. Like even if you look at Liverpool, they have a tradition. They're a family club. You wouldn't expect Liverpool to come out with this. You wouldn't expect Arsenal to be involved in this. You wouldn't expect Manchester United. Them three clubs. No way in hell you'd associate them three clubs' tradition with this bullshit that's after happening. Never would did that. But again, it's just it's heartbreaking that this is even a conversation. And with regard to this, because obviously there's been about this is going to have ramifications kind of on the Premier League and in total, that the Premier League and like UEFA are talking now that they may relegate these teams, that they may deduct points from them. I'm going to come to the whole panel with regards to this. And Dylan, I'm going to come to you first. The booting these teams out of the domestics that are left in the European competitions. Take appropriate action. So Dylan, I think with all the football associations, do you think these clubs appropriate action should be taken to them by the likes of UEFA, by the likes of the FA, that the points deductions and the subsequent relegations, should these be a factor in terms of immediate, punishments to these football clubs for even partaking in this European Super League?
Yeah. I think the 6 of them should be penalised. I think United and Madrid should be punished probably more severely, because they seem to be the ringleaders. Won't be like Woodward to be cooking up a storm. I'd happily see us get relegated if it meant that the Glazers had to sell. I think every Man United fan would be with me on that one, because it would allow the fans to support the club, and we should be able to run it as we should. Like the Germany model, the 51-49 model, that should be implemented in the English game, because the football pyramid will be destroyed, and lower league football and grassroots football will see the brunt of this. Because it's all right, it's all right pissing off to Saudi Arabia on a Wednesday night to play at the Milan derby, but there's teams in Football League 1 and 2, the conference, the fair and weekly wages, putting players on a subsidized government support. Like these guys, these American owners, they don't represent anything to do with our clubs. It's actually embarrassing.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely embarrassing. You look at owners like the Joe Glazer, you look at Stan Kroenke, you look at Henry, whatever his fucking name is at Liverpool. They do not give a flying fuck about these fans and the traditions of the football club. And the disrespect that you've seen a report come out today that they're one of the owners, they said they'll go as far as leaving the English Premier League. Now we don't know which club it is, but I'm guessing it's either one of Manchester United, Liverpool, or Arsenal, because the other two clubs, the other three clubs.
I'd say it's Arsenal.
Would you think so?
It sounded like Kroenke. Sounded like something Kroenke said.
Yeah, like Liverpool and United know where their bread is buttered. Like they do. Kroenke is just an American NFL owner that wants to make sure that he gets his guaranteed money, no matter what. It sounds like Arsenal or City even, that they can buy their own league.
Kroenke's board's father owns Walmart. Like, that lad's been lying in baths of money since he was about 6 years of age. Like, and he's still trying to get it out from the bed sheets. Scandalous.
Just it's a disgrace. And you look at the way this is all going down. Like the fact that one of these football one of these owners from a football club is willing to actually leave the English game. Now, whether it's any of these teams, like if it's United, if it's Arsenal, if it's Liverpool, or City, Chelsea, Tottenham, whoever it is, if they want to become a franchise, that's just absolutely disgusting. Because I think that's the route where they want to go. They want these football clubs to become a franchise, like the NFL, like the NBA, and adopt that model. And again, it just ruins the game that we all love. To follow that model.
If this shit comes in, though, Keane, if this comes in to the English game and to European football, these madmen will start moving clubs around Europe to on one team cities, like they did with St. Louis Rams moving on to LA. That's what these American lads are trying to do. Especially FSG, because they've got ties with, they own the Red Sox, Boston Red Sox. Yeah. So that's why this model can't be supported.
Yeah, it's just imagine now they moved Arsenal. Let's say let's use Arsenal as an example, right? And I'm going to bring the Arsenal guys in now very soon. Imagine they moved Arsenal from North London to, I don't know,
the north of Spain,
Naples, and somewhere like that. the Spain or Naples in Italy or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like that would be an absolute farce. Or if they moved Manchester United to Tampa Bay, like imagine that. Like that would be absolutely
or
disgusting.
move Manchester City to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, like. Well, look, I could see that happening anyway. But like, real talk, like. Real talk, like imagine they rebranded Manchester United to Tampa Bay United, or who does Kroenke own? Like Kroenke owns, like if Kroenke owns, and someone can let me know in the comments. But yeah, like imagine they renamed like Arsenal after Kroenke's NFL team, or like if this really goes down that direction, this like our game could be changed for the worst. And it's just terrifying to even think that we're going down that kind of direction. Now, people can talk about the broadcasters and stuff like that. I see comments are literally flying in about the broadcasters and stuff like that. Now, literally, there's so many comments flying in, guys. I can't get them all on screen, but I can see everyone's comments with regards to this. Like looking at it, I've no sympathy whatsoever in terms of Sky, BT, or any of these guys, who do the broadcasters. Them moaning, I do not have one bit of sympathy for them. They've been robbing people blind, especially during the pandemic when they did all the pay-per-view stuff and all that. Like I feel one bit sorry. I don't feel one bit sorry for any of them guys. I feel sorry for the players. I feel sorry for the managers of these football clubs. I feel sorry for the young players coming up that their whole vision of football and their dream is being ripped away almost. Kevin Kennedy's in the comments. He says that Stan Kroenke owns the Rams. So imagine they renamed them Arsenal Rams. Just imagine that. That would be absolutely disgusting. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sick.
Keane, remember when Liverpool were in that financial heartache there, I suppose over 10 years ago now, 11 years ago? Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, was asked would he buy it, and he goes, I couldn't invest in Premier League football because I don't have a guaranteed income. So I heard that today on TalkSport and I was kind of taken aback by it. So you look at the three biggest clubs in England are all owned by American owners and they all have NFL teams. You guarantee it, well, Liverpool don't, but like you can guarantee it, they all sing off the same hymn sheet. Like, they want guaranteed money.
That's why they want to scrap relegation and promotion, which is what football is built on. Competition, equal competition. Hence why Leicester won a title and restored everybody's faith in the English game.
Yeah. They nearly got relegated in the following season. They won the league.
And that's the beauty of the English game. Amy and Rachel, I'm going to come to both of you collectively on this as well. Like, obviously, this layout of the European Super League, like, competition is more or less going to be taken out of it now. Obviously, with the format there's going to be 50 set teams in the European Super League, and obviously there's 5 to obviously come in every season kind of on a competitive basis. What are your thoughts, Rachel? Let's come to you first. What are your thoughts on that format, the Super League, and kind of, I suppose, from a competitive standpoint, how do you feel about that?
There's no point in it whatsoever. Like the guys have said, football's all about competition, and the Glazers, they want no competition. They want a guaranteed place in the league. It's exactly like the NBA, and I love the NBA, but I love football because it's football, and I love NBA because it's NBA. You don't mix the two together. They're completely different. They're worlds apart. I don't see the point in, what's the point in competing? Oh, you get a trophy at the end, but they get, what is it, 100 million if they win the Super League?
The JP Morgan trophy.
Oh, it says it all, really. I just don't see the point, because that money is just going to go straight into the pockets of the owner whose team won, and the fans, the club, we're not going to see any of it, in my honest opinion. And it's a big if, the players are banned from playing in their international teams, we get booted out of the Premier League. What high quality player doesn't want to play for their country and will want to play for one of these Super Leagues just because the teams in there are elite? it's elitism, and it's the mentality that you get given everything just because of your name. And that's the rich getting rich and saying a big massive fuck you to all the poor people, basically, or the working class person. So yeah, I don't agree with it. I think it's absolutely ludicrous, but I have hope that we won't be kicked out of the Premier League. But then again, you never know with football these days.
Yeah, it's just one of them things where we just have to wait and see and kind of how it plays out in terms of what it's going to mean for us domestically. Like what's going to happen with the domestic cups, what's going to happen with the league. Like, are we going to get relegated down to the 5th or 6th tier, the Premier League? Like, what's going to happen? I think that uncertainty is really kind of hurting fans. Is the uncertainty of what's going to happen for all of our football clubs. And it's, again, like these parasites, I don't want to keep going back to these 3 ownerships, like, because I obviously have ties at United. I have friends and family who are Liverpool fans. I have friends who are Arsenal fans, and I talk to these fans on a daily basis who talk about the ownerships of these clubs and how they're not happy about it. But again, it's just disgusting, especially on the international front as well. Like, imagine I'll bring England into this, even though like I've no invested interest in England's national team because I'm Irish, right? Ireland's national team is absolutely brutal, even though that pains me, Gary, Dylan, and Amy here that that's the case, right? Ireland's national team is brutal, so this Super League thing is not going to affect Ireland's probably national team in terms of getting banned from it because we're not in the competition anyway. But like, when you actually look at the English team, you look at all these young players, especially who are at the club. Like, I look at this, right? You look at the likes of the Greenwoods, the Sakas, Joe, obviously Smith Rose, Marcus Rashford, young English players who Trent Alexander-Arnold, like the Liverpool. Obviously, you have the like Andy Robertson, who has a chance to go to a European Championship with Scotland. Kieran Tierney from Arsenal going to a Championship with Scotland. Scott McTominay going to a European Championship with Scotland, which is an anomaly. All these players, right? It's their dreams to play with England, and that's going to get ripped away by this Super League thing as well. Like, how much money are the clubs going to throw at these guys to continue to have them at the club? Like, and there's talks in Florentino Perez, then that little prick. That's what I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him a prick. I don't really like swearing on the show. I hate it. I like to kind of stay level-headed. He's an absolute bastard, Florentino. Facts are facts. He's a prick. He's an absolute bastard. And he's on about making his own little international tournament. Who in their right mind, right, would want to watch a fabricated international tournament? Like, international football, like, you're a country that you put on an Irish shirt, you put on an England shirt, you put on a Scottish shirt, Germany shirt, whatever country you come from, you sing the national anthem, and that means something. That means something to your friends, it means something to yourself, it means something to your family. And if Florentino Perez is sitting here and he's going to say that he's going to make his own World Cup or own European Championship, that's a farce. That's bullshit. And that should be no-go from the outset, really. Because whatever about Super Leagues and all that crack, but international football, that's different. That's your country. That's your flag. That's your badge. You wear that country shirt with a banner, and you see something that may have fabricated. It's pretty much disgusting for me. Amy, I'm going to come to you finally with regards to just before I bring the London fans in now. Obviously, look, from our point of view, with United at the moment, obviously Ollie was thrown under the bus yesterday. More or less had to face the media right after a game when he should have been talking about, a great 3-1 win, finally beating Burnley at home after the first time in about 3 or 4 years that we've beaten them at home. And kind of, they'd seen, obviously, again, academy graduates play well yesterday. It was meant to be a positive sign for us. And then to him having to go out and talk to the media about this and not having to know about it until that day, do you think the club just absolutely threw him under the bus?
Well, yeah, because obviously they knew that Ollie had a game to focus on. But it's not just about Ollie, it's about every manager in this sense, because every manager has been thrown under the bus, and the owners and everyone else higher up are hiding, and they're not coming out and saying anything. So I think it's an absolute disgrace for any manager, any player that are going to be interviewed about this, because obviously they have, well, I hope they have nothing to do with it. they probably don't know what's going on really either. Like you've seen Tuchel's interview there a while ago. He didn't really know. So like, I just think it's an absolute disgrace, to be honest, and they should, all the owners or whatever, they should all come out and just say something, even though I know they won't because they're always hiding anyway. But yeah, no, it's a disgrace. Every manager is being thrown under the bus here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking to see. And I thought all of our clubs were better than this. I really did. I thought these clubs, we all have rich tradition, and for our club, it's just disgusting to see that's taking a turn. Look, hopefully, from our point of view, I think for us, I just hope that we can all hopefully see hopefully UEFA League, even the UK government are on about intervening now. I hope something can happen from our point of view, that our game doesn't get taken away. I hope there's some sort of compromise or an intervention or something there that can something that could be sorted out with regards to the situation. And I think from our point of view, it's very important that we do get a resolution here, because it's, again, and I'll quote this again, we all love this. We all love our football clubs, and we all got into this game for a reason. Whether it was through a parent, a family member, if you're just out in the road kicking the ball with a friend and you ask them they support, we all got into this game for a reason. We all fell into love with this game for a different reason, regardless of who you support. Whether it's a big six club or whether it's someone outside of that demographic, you love football, and you love football for a reason. And I think our game can't become a franchise. It needs to stay pure and needs to stay the way it should be. So for me, I absolutely think this should be rectified, and hopefully we get a resolution towards this. I would talk about our team's football games this weekend. Obviously, Liverpool are playing Leeds in an hour's time. United had a 3-1 win. I think football has kind of been, that part has been kind of kicked to the curb almost this weekend. I know Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher are going to go to town on all these owners in about 15 minutes time on Monday Night Football. Dylan said, I wonder will Gary Neville have a job by the end of the night. We should wait and see. But
this is what he's paid to do.
It's
going to be must-see pay TV.
Yeah, it's what he's paid to do, but knowing Gary Neville, he won't have a filter in what he says. He's very passionate. But look, I'm just going to come to every member of our panel just before I bring in the London clubs now. I'm just going to come to each of them collectively and individually. Rach, going to come to you first. Just give your closing thoughts.
It's just a disgrace. This that I've worked so hard to get. There's literally absolutely no point. And the games at the weekend and tonight as well, if they don't want competition, what's the point in even playing? Because that's essentially what this Super League is going to be. Non-competition, shit. If you finish bottom of the league, oh well, we go again next year. What's the point? Genuinely. Where's the fun?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Amy, what's your closing thoughts?
Yeah, Rach hit the nail on the head there. It's absolutely disgraceful. But at the end of the day, we should have not expected it, but I'm not really surprised by the Glazers because they're pricks anyway, and we all knew that, and Ed Woodward as well. I just think they're all absolute snakes. It's just disgraceful.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just, you'd expect it from the Glazers, but like, I wish just our board, like people on the board, the likes of Sir Alex and stuff like that, I wish them guys had a say. So I know if Sir Alex had a say in this situation, our football club wouldn't be associated. I know if Liverpool, if Kenny Dalglish,
Sir Alex is the
likes
fucking
them, if they
there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you look at with with Liverpool, Gary, like if King Kenny had a say, or Steven Gerrard or Carragher or any of them guys, I know for a fact they wouldn't like this to go down this road either. Gary, what are your closing thoughts?
John Henry said when he bought the fucking the club off Hicks and Gillette that he was going to give the club back to the fans because he'd seen the hurt and heartache we went through, and he sold us down the river. And he's going to, and you know what? I can't see this machine stopping. I'd say there's been too much time and money invested. The only big winners out of this are going to be the solicitors and lawyers attached to it. And the fans are going to be dragged through the mud, and the clubs are going to be dragged through the mud. It's going to be a tough watch for every football fan out there. Every fan.
Yeah. And all these fixtures will be played in countries where their human rights are questionable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dylan, what are your closing thoughts just before I kind of wrap up with the Liverpool and United side and before I bring in the London clubs?
It's just what everyone else has said. I'm quite flabbergasted that we've got to this stage, but
yeah, it should never.
Hopefully, if there's a God in heaven, it'll get overturned. But the model that they're putting, as Rachel said, typical elitism, and it just needs to be tried. It just need to try and eradicate it, or the best thing that could possibly happen to these big six clubs, from my point of view, is that the six of them are penalised and were relegated, which would encourage our owners to give the clubs back to the fans who do actually belong to.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Guys, thanks so much for coming on this evening. Again, look, it was short notice. I know all of you have your own individual jobs, or individual lives outside of football. And look, I appreciate you guys taking your time to come on and giving your say. Look, as always, you're always welcome back to come on the channel. And look, we will obviously, hopefully, we have more clarity in this situation. Next time all you guys are on, we'll have a more positive conversation. Please God. I hope you all enjoy your evening. Try enjoy it as best you can. Try get minds off it as best you can. But look, I'll see you guys later, and I'm gonna just a few moments. I'm just gonna bring the London guys into the show now. And thanks very much for coming on, guys.
Cheers, Keane. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So obviously, look, I'm going to bring in London fans just now in a moment. So obviously, look, I suppose just before I bring the guys in, I'm just going to give just my overall final thoughts on Manchester United. And obviously, look, I'm hurt by this situation. I'm absolutely demoralised. I think to see my football club do this and not kind of have a soul and have any conscience toward its fan base is absolutely sick. It's absolutely disgusting, and it goes against everything Sir Alex Ferguson and Sir Matt Busby built football club. So look, I suppose time will tell as to what's happened and what we can do to kind of as fan base to kind of stand together and try rectify this and get these Glazers out. I'll say just before I get the two London guys in here, whether you're Ollie in, whether you're Ollie out, whether you hate fan channels or whether you love fan channels, or whatever view you have on all them different situations, this is a time where we all need to unite, and we all need to do something and all do our part to try to get this ownership out of our football club, regardless who we support, regardless of what feeling you have towards certain people within this fan base. We all need to put this aside now, and we all do need to get these parasites out of our club. And it's the same about all the rest of the fan bases too. I'm talking about all of them. It's not right. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's I'm just going to come off 2 moments, and I'm going to be back to you guys, okay? Bear me for 2 seconds. Just stream and then bringing the guys in.
Hey.
Oh. Hey everybody. So I'm back here, guys. So literally just had to refresh my stream. My internet was having a bit of a shit attack, so I felt to see myself freezing during the show. So that's why I just had to do a refresh of the stream. Obviously, look, I've just revamped the kind of the layout of the show there too. Obviously, we do our London Lowdown shows where we do cover all of the London clubs. So we do cover all things Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, Tottenham, all these different clubs. Our Chelsea representative is on his way at the moment, so we're going to talk all things Arsenal, and we will cover the other clubs too, because we'll give them fans a voice as well, even if they're not here. Sophie, come to you first. Obviously, I've been following you quite a while now, and you're a very positive Arsenal fan. Always, even despite sometimes when the going gets tough, you're a very positive fan, and you always find the positive with your football club. Obviously, this news comes out yesterday after a 1-1 draw against Fulham. Obviously, you would have been kind of frustrated with the result yourself, but then this news comes out not too long afterwards. What were your overall thoughts when the news came out about this European Super League?
Well, basically, when we drew with Fulham, I was still getting over that. And then I heard like Gary Neville talking about the match, and then I didn't like take it seriously because I don't think it was going to be a big thing. And now it's just blown up massively. It's gone from about nothing to something really big. I think the word I would put is betrayed. I'm not surprised because Kroenke just doesn't give a shit about us at all. He just cares about money. I don't even think he's been to see Arsenal play this year at all. Like, he just couldn't give a fuck. I'm just sorry, but he couldn't care less, and I'm just quite taken back. I think there's a lot of issues around it. Like, obviously the players that go to it won't be playing international football or the World Cup, and then Arsenal, we are probably the worst team in Tottenham out of that lot. We will probably be bottom of the table. There's no way we're beating teams like Barcelona, Liverpool, Man City. So I just don't understand the point of it at all. And yeah, I'm still like processing it all because it is pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm still pretty betrayed. I think that's the word you'd probably use.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think betrayal, that's probably the biggest word you'd probably use at this point. I think for all of us, like, we all have all our own affiliation. We all have our own emotional attachment to our football clubs. And we all hold our club to a standard and to an expectation morally. never mind from a success standpoint, right? Because we all have our own expectations for our own football clubs and where we think they should be at this moment in time. That's neither here nor there at this point. For this point, morally, to see our football clubs do this in the midst of a pandemic and to see them take this, especially when you look at some of these football clubs that they've used government schemes during the pandemic, they've furloughed staff, they've done this, that, and the other, right? And then to see that happen at that time, then a year later, they're doing this with no fans. Like, imagine 60,000 in the Emirates, right? This news comes out. Arsenal fans have been vocal about the direction of their football club long before this, right? United fans have been vocal about the direction of their football club long before this. Now, you can imagine if you have 60,000 in the Emirates and this news breaks at halftime during the game. I can imagine you'd have a walkout, because we've seen walkouts in the Emirates before. We've seen walkouts in Spurs Stadium when the direction of their club wasn't going well. We've seen walkouts of all these football clubs. We've all seen some sort of protest of some sort of manner now. Whether you agree with some of them protests, that's not the point. But to do this while the fans don't have a voice and actually let their voice known in the stadium, I think it's wrong. I think, again, people can talk about why people moan about the broadcasters. People are saying you're losing this European Super League as a reason to moan. I'd question your loyalty to the football clubs, your football clubs, if you're not unhappy at this situation. Because if you start supporting your football club, you start supporting your football club for the love of football and for the love of the team. And now your football club is becoming a franchise. That's ultimately what it's going to become, is a franchise. So for anyone saying that you shouldn't have an opinion on this and shouldn't be upset with this, I'd really question your loyalty to your football club. That's all I'd say on that. Because look, there's people who I've spoke to in this situation, and they're saying they're not going to support the team. They're not going to do this, not going to do that. Look, that's up to yourselves. Look, that's your own opinion. But the thing about this situation is, it's not the people who are like the players. It's not the players or the managers' faults. This is these owners who are looking to make a quick pound. They're looking to make a quick pound. They want to make more revenue. That's what it is. It's completely down to money and greed. That's literally what it is. So again, it's just disgusting and it's absolutely despicable. And I think, like, it doesn't matter who you support. Even if it's someone outside of this top six or big six, or whatever you want to call it, whatever the broadcasters want to call these teams, the big six, what they are now is the fucking brutal six. That's what they are. They're not big. They're actually very small in my eyes right now. They're very small, these clubs. That's what they are. In my mind, they're small-minded. And most of them clubs have acted like small clubs down the years. And they've made decisions that have went against their fans. And they don't care about the fans. You can clearly see that. William, obviously, you found out this news again not long after the Fulham game. We were all watching the Manchester United match and we were all discussing the United game literally during it. Then this news breaks. Obviously, look, I know you nearly all my life. You're a very avid Arsenal fan. Again, I was there with you when the Arsene Wenger years were there, and you, unlike many fans, you stood by the Arsene Wenger era when a lot of fans were calling for Arsene Wenger to leave, and you're one of them fans who trust that process. And like, you always stood by the club. You've stood by the club this season under Mikel Arteta when, again, many fans who've gone against the grain and they've gone against this process. And you said you're happy about the way the club is going. You said you could see a vision of the way this club is going. Do you feel betrayed by this? Because the general consensus from all these football, like all fans around the world with this situation, with all these clubs, there's almost a sense of betrayal and loss with this situation.
Right. It's very hard to describe all of my feelings in this time. I've been up for hours, like reading the news, keeping it up, just had my mind racing. I've gone from extremely angry over the situation to feeling upset about it, to partly understanding why they did it, while also realizing that they're pretty much cunts for trying to ruin the English game in that way. I do feel betrayed, yes. However, this was also set up for betrayal by the Premier League when it got set up as the Premier League. And they set it up in a way that was a monopoly for the Premier League and UEFA, that they could run things perfectly. And now it's being used against them, which it wasn't right back then, is not right now. Two wrongs never make a right. Do I think that they should be making the Europa Super League? No chance in hell. Is this the way I wanted Arsenal to get back into European competition, into the elite of the elite? No. You could see the way we were doing it, of course. I've watched Champions League my whole life. I've adored it. Got to see us reach to the Champions League final, and it was one of the most heartbreaking nights of my life, seeing Barcelona beat us. But UEFA have to be held accountable as well at this situation. They had the warnings in the sense that from 2005, as a club, we set up a way for financial fair play, what they said would be in line, which would keep all the big teams happy and wouldn't let it get too out of control. And they pushed it down the line. And what happens? Man City get more investment. Chelsea get more investment. And it's now gotten to the stage where these owners are bigger than the club. And it pains us as football fans to say it because we've grown up loving it. But it's gotten to the stage that you have to admit it. They are bigger than it. They will put more money, even though it's our own money. They will put more money into this club than we will ever will in our lifetimes, unfortunately. And whether that's right or wrong, I'm not here to answer. They're treating it as a business. It should not be like a business in terms for us, but that's just the way they see it, and that's where they can make their money. And it's completely sickening in the way that it's going. But can we actually say it's surprising? Because it's nothing new from the FA and it's nothing new from UEFA, and they've always been corrupt in there. And now they're just taking away that invisible wall of corruption and making it visible for everyone to see that it's the big six and these extra clubs. And
yeah,
all
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to just touch on one thing here. For all the people who, when I said down the years, and William, I've been vocal about this. I've been vocal about this ever since you know me. I've always said that these American owners are corrupt. People used to laugh at me when I used to say that. People used to laugh at me. Who's fucking laughing now? None of us. None of us are fucking laughing.
And
like again,
it's not just the American owners. I mean, you look at Juventus. They got fucking demoted from Serie A down to Serie C because of match fitting and fixing. So it's nothing new to these teams either.
Yeah, it's corrupt, and the game is just. It's despicable. It's actually despicable. Now, like you look at clubs, obviously.
In terms of how disappointed I am in my club, I feel more, and I know we will get onto it more later, I feel so much more heartbreak for the likes of Leicester City, and especially them and Everton, because Everton are a very top club that have never been relegated since they got into the Premier League. And now they're going to suffer through basically having to have a lack of ambition, except for the chance to maybe win the Premier League. That I'm going to be honest, we're not going to get kicked out because it's not going to be good enough. The league isn't going to get enough money from sponsors, and sponsors talk, but also because in order to kick us out, they need a 3/4 majority, and we have 6 clubs. So 6 into 20 leaves 14. You can't get 15, which is the 3/4 majority.
Again, that's the painful thing. But the only thing they could do maybe is give points deductions. I think that's why they get away. But the only thing about it is that puts Arsenal and Tottenham into the relegation zone if that happens. I've seen the league tables today. United and City drop out the top 4. Chelsea, Liverpool drop into mid-table. Arsenal and Spurs go into relegation. It's unthinkable that these things could actually happen. Like, you look at this situation, obviously the big, like them clubs like you mentioned, like Everton, Leicester, West Ham United, teams who've done well this season, this hinders them. You look at clubs then obviously who've been self-sustaining clubs that have stayed up for the last few years with minimal investment, like Burnley, clubs like that who they love their day out at Old Trafford. Like the likes of Brighton who've come up through the divisions and are actually a very good I think, platform for the Premier League. They're a good advocate of the Premier League, Brighton, with the way they play football. Now, they mightn't score the most goals, but they play the right way. You look at teams like that who are a good advert for the league, and then, it's disgusting. It's morally wrong. And again, like, this is going to affect grassroots. It's going to affect every other level of football in the football period, in the pyramid, sorry. And we're just going to see there's going to be a snowball effect here. And obviously, like we've mentioned, Champions League nights, European nights, like when, as you mentioned, William, like Arsenal had that Champions League final in 2006. Like that was the last Champions League final they got to. That's a special moment in your history. You have Chelsea, who in 2012, that run to the Champions League final was iconic. Like, remember, Di Matteo came in, club legend, took the job. And Drogba single-handedly had that Champions League run that was legendary. Do you know what I mean? That's something that probably will never be replicated at that football club. Now, I know they're doing well under Tuchel at the moment, and they have a chance, obviously, to get into the Champions League final this year. Look at Liverpool, obviously, they've won 6 Champions Leagues. Manchester City, as much as I don't like them, they have a chance now to get into their first ever Champions League final, being in the semi-final against PSG. That's a historic moment for them. That could be their first ever Champions League trophy. Obviously, United, we won the Champions League in 99. We won it in 08. They're games that, obviously, the 99 final, I was too young to remember, but that 08 final, the most special game of football I've ever watched. And to see all these moments be tarnished, let's get this straight. If this European Super League does come to fruition, all the memories we've had in Europe, they're gone. They're null and void. I know we threw around null and void last season, laughing about Liverpool potentially to get the league getting called off and Liverpool not win the league, and we used that word null and void to kind of banter each other, right? But our European memories become null and void if this becomes a franchise. If this becomes a franchise, this is not the same. We've been playing, like, imagine Arsenal play Real Madrid 4 or 5 times a year, and then let's say then they play in the playoff game to get into the Super Bowl, wherever the fuck it is, the Super League, whatever way they format it out, right? Or United play a traditional European rival in Bayern Munich, and we play them 4 or 5 times a year. That rivalry is insane. Or even Tottenham Hotspur, right? When they got to their Champions League final, I know now the both of you don't like Tottenham. Obviously, they're rivals. But Tottenham's run to that Champions League final that season was epic. Like, they had that VAR game against City, that was 4-3. One of the best ever games of football I watched. That was epic. The comeback against Ajax that time. Obviously, they lost Liverpool in the end in the final. And probably one of the worst finals I ever watched in my life. It was a very boring game of football. But the run to that final was unbelievable. And you can't take that away from them. All that stuff gets absolutely fabricated. And it becomes all null and void if this Super League comes to fruition. Now, obviously, people will talk about the pros, the Super League, the best play the best or whatever. The shine off that will go away after 2 or 3 years. You'll get sick of it. It won't be the same. Like, the epic Champions League music, like, that's gone. Even, I'll even throw this out there to you guys. The Europa League music, it's a pretty banging song. Like, it's a pretty banging song. Like, when you get to the later stages, it kind of feels epic. Like, but real talk, like, I think it's very important that this gets put a stop to. I hope there's an intervention with this. I hope there's some sort of change that can be made, that we're not talking about Super League, that UEFA, FIFA Pro, whoever can come in here, the governments of these countries, that can come in and make an intervention, and a compromise can be made here. But in saying this now, and I'm saying this, if a compromise is made, not one of us here are going to forget that the clubs have sold their souls, that they've tried to screw over the set of fans. That's not going to sit well in any fan bases. Obviously, just before we wrap up, because we're due to have Sean on, I'm actually conscious that both of you guys want to watch Monday Night Football to see what Carragher and Neville have to say on this situation. As I did with the United and Liverpool fans, I was wanting to get your thoughts firstly on international football potentially being cancelled for these players, and also just your closing thoughts kind of following that too. And so Sophie, I'll come to you first. What are your thoughts on the potential of like these players who are at these clubs of the Super League, that they may not have the chance to play the Euros or a World Cup ever again, and just following that, just give your closing thoughts and the overall situation with the Super League?
I'm not the biggest fan of international football, but I think for players, it's like a dream to play for their, international team. And, Saka, Tierney, Smith Rowe, they love to play for England, Scotland, and they'll end up leaving us. And, there's like Juventus, like Ronaldo, Ramsey, all of those good players. And it just baffles me. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, it's just hard to get my head around. I think you can probably feel like this. It's just like a massive nightmare. Like it's just really surreal. So for international football, I think it's devastating for the players. I hate watching England. I find it boring, but I know for like the younger players, they do benefit playing for their team. And I think it's hard to be positive because I don't see any positives in this at all. I think we'd really struggle in this league. I don't know how Arsenal and Tottenham are even involved in this. I think Arsenal are involved because of like their history. I think because Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United have got like such a good history. They've very been successful. But
Three biggest clubs in England.
Yeah, and I just think now we can barely beat Fulham or Burnley. We don't deserve to be in like this league. And I wouldn't want to play the same teams all the time. Like I like the fact that we have, the Premier League where you can play teams like Brighton, Burnley, and then you've got the Champions League, Europa League, where you can play like teams abroad. Like I like the two different leagues. So yeah, I mean it's very annoying, but I think we've just got to pray and hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think we can all pray and hope and just hope that we can come to a resolution. I think that's the most important thing. And William, just before we wrap up, just give your closing thoughts.
Well, it's sickening. Like in terms of players not being allowed to play for their country, extremely harsh. Do I think it will be allowed? No, it'll end up going to the courts and the players will win because of FIFA, the actual players again, because it's not morally correct and it's not right. Not that being morally correct ever mattered to FIFA. Come on, for fuck's sake. You've got a World Cup in Qatar coming up. Look, it's completely sickening. It's been coming. It was set up partly because of the Premier League in the way that they set it up, but the actual selfishness of the teams is just, I'd like to say appalling. It is appalling. I'd like to say shocking. It's not shocking. It's always been the same way. Even the Premier League was set up. If you win the league, you get the most amount of money. The teams at the top are destined to get more money than the rest of them. It was always going to happen eventually. It was set up that way. It's going to be a change, and as much as we say no to European football, I don't think there's going to be anything we can do about it. I think there's too much backing now behind it through outside forces out of our control. And the sad thing is, it's going to be us that suffer through having to watch this. It's going to be us having to suffer, not going to be able to afford to go to this, because we're going to be priced out of it. Some of us are already priced out of it through no chance in hell going to be able to get a season ticket. There's no way in hell Arsenal are going to reduce their season tickets to underneath $1,000 that it is now. If anything, it's going to increase even more, and you're only going to see the elite. It's going to be like a FA Cup final, a Champions League final, a Europa League final. You're going to see the board members come, and it'd be a special way that they have special board members come in, tour around the cities, spend some money to put some money into the local economy. That's how they'll get around the politics, how they'll say it'll drive up local infrastructure and all stuff. It's sickening. To to the other teams in the Premier League, like your Evertons and Leicesters and Leeds and West Hams, everyone else, we are truly sorry about this. This is the owners. This is not what the fans want. But it's sad to say that I don't believe there's any way of getting out of this, and that it's gone too far. And it's sickening. It won't be the same. It will be a mistake. We will eventually get used to it, sadly, and we'll forget it ever happened, or we will stop watching football entirely. That depends on how much passion you have, which is... it's disheartening, really.
Absolutely. I do echo your thoughts. We're going to wrap up there, guys. Thanks very much, both of you, for coming on, taking time out of your evening. I know you're both going to tune into Monday Night Football and see what they have to say there anyway. In terms of content for the channel, look, do smash a like in the video, do subscribe. I'll be honest with you guys, watching live and if you're watching on the replay, I don't know when that content is going to be coming next. Obviously, we had a lot of content planned for this week because obviously there's games every day this week, but with this current situation, I think we're going to leave it play out and we'll see what we do with content this week. I will keep you posted on my socials, on the Weekly Armchair Twitter and also on my own Twitter. As always, do drop the two guys a follow as well. As you can see, Sophie has her own YouTube channel in Gunner Gossip TV. And so do check Sophie out. She recently hit 350 subscribers. So do smash a subscribe on her channel. Do smash a like on her videos too. Very passionate Arsenal fan. Even if you're not an Arsenal fan, if you're a United fan watching this channel or Chelsea or whoever you support, do go over and check her out over there. And William, you can follow him on Twitter at WillyChillyBry. And look, my Twitter handle isn't here. I put my handle speaks for itself there. You can catch me at Keane_Franey for all your supposed Manchester United related tweets. I've been very active there today, so go and check them out if you do wish to do so. But look, that's it. That's us. We're out here. And look, hopefully we will see you during the week.